I think this is just going to be a bunch in one because I haven't talked any of them out and I'm getting backed up again. So there was an image that came through. It was a fox, and it came up to me, and I thought it just wanted to be pet, so I was like scratching it under its neck and saying hi, but then it was clear it needed me to help it or go with it, so I followed it, but it had me follow it down into this, like, I don't know, it's like all these weeds and brush, and, you know, I don't like all that outdoorsy stuff, right? I was starting to get nervous about snakes, ironically enough. I'll tell you in a second. And so I found myself like, am I being a fool following this fox? Like, does it really need my assistance, or I don't know what. So after I had really gotten pretty far in, I stopped to turn around and walk back, and it must have turned around to see that I had stopped, and it started crying. That noise they make, that like bark they make, it sounds like a cry or a yelp. And so I was like, okay, all right, okay. So I got brave enough to keep going, and sure enough, I got there, and this is where it got a little weird. So, or maybe it's trying to tell me a message about timing. I had gotten there, but at the same time I had reached the spot, and I'll tell you in a minute, it's split off into two different storylines. So I guess it can go either way, where I had gotten there and there was its baby, and the baby I thought was just sleeping, so I went to pet it, but then I realized it wasn't moving, so it needed me to help the baby. And at the same time, it split off into another view, and the baby was, oh, Jiminy Crickets, sorry, all these workers all over the place. And it was already down the throat of a snake. And so I didn't know what to do. I started screaming and hollering and tried to pull the baby out, but then it went back to the first scene where I was holding the baby. And I took the baby with me, and the fox came with me, and I tried to revive it and bring it back to life. And that's all I remember. I remember us getting home, so I'm not sure what happened after that. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's a timing thing. It's like if you don't make it there on time or you don't go on time, it could eat the baby alive, or you could save the baby. And then there was another thing where it was like a courthouse again or something. What is the fucking story? Okay. Sorry. They've been coming to the wrong house a few times. I just wanted to make sure they were going to the right one. Sorry. So the other one was, it was a courthouse or a courtroom. There was a judge, and it was like, what? It was somebody who had, I guess, like they had power, but it was fake power. In other words, it was somebody holding somebody captive, or holding money, or holding something back, and that gave them the prop up, the power they thought they had. In other words, they were holding something over somebody else's head, wanting them to beg for what was rightfully theirs. And that made them feel so good and so powerful and so important, because it was the one thing they thought they could control or hurt or harm the person by doing. So it was like this false sense of, and so I felt all this, and so forgive me if it's like the details of your story are wrong. They just kind of showed it broad strokes like this. And I remember the judge turning to me in such disgust that they were behaving in such a way, because they put me in your body, and apologizing to me, and saying something like, he's so disgusted and disturbed by their behavior, and they're acting out of such bitterness and I think he said insanity. And And I said, you know what? It's the only real power they've ever had. They've always lived in a lack mindset. They've always been jealous, bitter, and angry. And they always wanted to have a leg up. Their lack mentality gives them the illusion that they have to step on others. They have to hurt others. They have to harm others to feel better than. Instead of loving themselves and elevating themselves and doing better for themselves, they have that mentality. It was kind of like the scapegoat mentality where they step on the one person who shines because they want to put out that light instead of just building their own light. It's just a weird mentality, but there's tons of stuff out there you can read about it. And so the judge was even shocked by that gracious response you gave. And I think that was it too. It was just like such a very disturbing thing where, remember I've told you before, it's like a group against one. It was the same idea. It was a group against one. And the group was worthless. They were trash. They were nothing. They had no power. They had no anything. And yet the power they were holding on to was yours. It was your power or money or stuff or something. And they were using it to prop themselves up and claim it was theirs and fight against you. It was just a weird, it is such a mental mind fuck sometimes. I've experienced this myself. It's just, some people are just, it's like the idea they're from the devil, meaning they're just in such lower vibrations. It's the idea that they're blind and deaf and dumb. And they live in that anger, that seething, that righteousness, that they're going to get you for being you. They're going to get you for wanting your stuff. How dare you? How dare you? Right? Like it's this like, I don't know. I don't know if there's like a chip missing in them and they just can't hear themselves. They don't understand. I don't know. It's like the only explanation is that righteousness or that they're blind, deaf, and dumb and they don't know. And so, sorry, I keep getting distracted by all these people walking across my lawn. And so oh, right. So like they showed me this and it just was disturbing is really what it was. I don't know that I had I don't know if the two are even related now that I've said them both out loud fully. One's time sensitive. And it can go either way depending on the timing. And the other one, it seemed like justice will be had, but they keep saying like shrapnel too. It's like there's so much ego that's going to be smashed by so many. Remember, it's the bunch against one. So all those massive egos being smashed, there's going to be shrapnel that goes far and wide. It's kind of like an awakening, right? They're going to get their ego smashed, but that's just the beginning, right? Like that's like they think that's painful. That's nothing. Like that's just waking up. So I don't know what else to tell you about that. That's kind of it of both of those scenes. Yeah. So I normally have more of a conclusion or something, and I don't know what. And I know it's partly because I keep listening to these people outside and making sure they don't drill in the wrong house. Timing and what was the other one? Oh, ego smashing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.